is
We're back.
episode. Hang on. I screwed up already.
219?
Episode
219.
219. The Metal Round Table. I am Rob, and with me, as always, is the great. Hang on. He's right. Since day one. There he is.
Carcass John.
Circus John Fossum.
And
kids.
the enigmatic.
Today I am Scott. Yes, I am related to Muddy Waters.
But
I look just like him, don't I?
We also have a special guest.
yes, we're going to get to Carcass's pick of the week here in just a second. But today, from The Awful Truth, Galactic Cowboys, Crunchy, and others, the great Monty Colvin is here with us today. Thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. Carcass,
Yes.
take it away.
Okay, I don't want to start any controversy right off the bat, but I see a Chiefs banner hanging in the background. I went to school with Andy Reid, so I can't disparage you at all. Okay, pick of the week, and I was unkindly reminded by Hair Metal Rob that I failed to mention Osric Tentacles last week, and as he stood over me like I was Sonny Liston laying on the canvas, and he was pounding his chest like Muhammad Ali.
Correct.
But I have a special pick of the week. As you know, we do a rock and roll pick of the week and a metal pick of the week. So here, in lieu of the special days that it has been today and yesterday, Scott, this one's for you. Scott's birthday yesterday. Aerosmith rocks. I think this is an essential for any music buff. And I think that I would have, I would fight you in the parking lot, but I doubt anybody's going to challenge me on this one. This is a great record, and I think it's important that everyone have it in their collection. Now that's a heavy
70s album right there.
That's a heavy 70s album. And speaking of heavy, it is Jeff Walker of Carcass's birthday today. And in lieu of that, I am going to pick Necroticism, Descanting the Insalubrious by Carcass. And the reason I picked this one over, say, Heartwork or Swan Song or any of the previous ones, Symphonies of Sickness, is because this was kind of the gap that bridged the two styles of music. A lot of people don't like the new direction they took. I love the new direction they took. This is when Michael Ammett, a friend of mine, joined the band, and I think that he gave them some melody. And so if you're going to start with Carcass, I say start in the middle, and then you can work your way to either side. But Carcass, Necroticism, Descanting the Insalubrious is my pick. And this is an actual earache pressing from Spain, I think, but it's on purple vinyl, so it's one of my many treasures that I have. And in order to really twist the knife, I'm going to go ahead and say, I was going to say this, but I didn't. So I just, I pulled out Osric Tentacles, Live Ethereal Serial, because it's an important record too, but I didn't say this one. I just wanted to make sure that Rob saw. In fact, what does that say, Rob? Can you read that for me? No, I'm not going to do that to you.
No, my glasses are fogged.
Yeah, they're foggy because I know you're getting misty-eyed because you broke the streak last week, and so I'm not so sure I like having you back on the Metal Round Table if you're going to break streaks like that. But anyway, we're just all having fun here. And Monty, you may check out Osric Tentacles. You may love them. You may not like them at all. We're kind of tossed up. I think they're great. Scott thinks they're great.
You'll like them because you like prog.
Okay. Well, there you go.
If you like prog rock, you're going to love Osric Tentacles. They've been around since the 80s, and they have like a bazillion albums out.
Yep.
Fantastic prog.
Anyway,
cool.
So in lieu of that, Monty, I'm sure you're going to carry most of the conversation anyway. So I've got a major work project that I've got to kick out. And so I'm going to bid adieu. And but it was nice to meet you, and maybe we can have you back on. We've had a couple of guests on more than once, and you are always welcome.
All right, nice to meet you.
Before you go, John, let me show you real quick.
Sir.
My quick thing. Yesterday was my birthday, and I got my wife says I have too many albums and too many CDs. I don't know why she thinks that, but she actually bought me the Dio box set for my birthday.
Oh my gosh, that's a good woman right there.
Right? I didn't expect it, so I was pretty pumped about that.
I bet you were.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Anyhow,
Anyway,
right
okay,
on. Good to
we'll
see you,
check you
John.
guys
I'll
out
talk to you
next
soon.
week, and I'll watch the replay on YouTube because I want to know what Monty has to say. But anyway, signing off.
Cheers, brother.
All right,
Love
see
you,
ya.
John.
Thanks again. Bye.
All right. Well, man, where do we even start? I want to start by showing a couple of pictures, and we'll do a little game, Monty, and you can see if you could tell me where this was. We're going to test your memory. I saw Galactic Cowboys one time, and here's the proof. There's picture number one. Hang on. I don't know how to, can't remember.
I can do it.
Yeah.
I got you.
There's picture number one. A little blurry.
Okay.
And here's the other one. A little better shot.
All
What's on the
right.
t-shirt there?
I'm going to say that was at Trees in Dallas.
Yes. 1996, baby. All right.
I never forget a show.
That's right. That's right. Well, I want to introduce again our special guest for today, Monty Colvin from Black
Sabbath?
Black Sabbath or something. I don't know. Galactic Cowboys.
Black
He did a kid
Galactic.
called Crunchy, Awful Truth, all kinds of good stuff. So tell us, what is shaking with you these days? What are you working on right now?
Right now, I'm working on a painting of Flea
Nice.
from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yes.
I'm not a big Chili Peppers fan, but I like Flea. And so
Oh, nice.
there's the drawing. It's gonna be
That's
a
pretty
Flea.
That's awesome.
That's what I'm doing right now.
He's wearing clothes on that in that picture.
Yeah, I put some pants on him. You know,
That's a good, instead of a sock.
I thought people might appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus,
So for
no
those
guy
of
wants
you
to drive
who
to
don't know, Monty is quite an accomplished artist, and he paints things like this, lots of Galactic Cowboys covers, and lots of stars. So tell us about the art. I want to know everything, kind of how you got into it, and the whole bit.
Yeah. I started when I was a kid, you know, like 10 years old, maybe even younger. I would like draw in church and stuff. So when I was just like in grade school, and then as I grew up, I went to college, I got a degree, and I've just kind of continued doing it throughout the years. When Galactic got signed and whatnot, I started doing our album covers, t-shirts, that kind of thing. And a few years ago, I thought, maybe I should start my own website. And so I started montycolvinart.com, and I just do rock stars and celebrities and all kinds of stuff like that. I do commissions for people. If you want a family portrait, I can do that too. But I do a lot of, rock stars and stuff that's close to my heart.
Yeah, I may send you a nice scan of this and get you to paint that for me.
Yeah.
Put the picture with it. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So
let's do it.
How long have you? So you started the website. How long have you had the website going now?
It's been about probably 4 or 5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's had to be because we did the Galactic Cowboys, and I added that site on at least 2 years ago now. The Machine Fish.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago I started that, and been adding new paintings and prints all the time, and it just continues to grow.
Yeah, so definitely check out montycolvinart.com for all your rock and roll painting needs. How many rock stars do you think you've painted? Do you have an actual number, or are you just kind of ballpark?
A lot.
I don't know. I mean, it's probably 200 or 300.
All right.
In the last few years since I
Right
started
on.
the website. There's
yes.
there's a few hundred.
Scott has
Yep.
Lemmy there, I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got it.
I
I got
also
the maps.
do-
I got the.
I also do sports stuff. You know, here's a. Yeah, can I get that thing out of the way? There
Yeah.
we go. Yeah, I do sports. You know, but here's a bigger one. Geddy Lee.
I love that one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But that's the kind of
There's one
stuff
behind
I
you.
do.
There's one behind you too.
Yeah, Galactic. Just finished that one. Just sold that one. Galactic Cowboys from the Space in Your Face days.
Face in your face.
Yeah.
Got Dane in there. Oh,
classic Galactic lineup.
right on.
So, yeah.
Which is the same lineup that recorded. It's the same lineup recorded this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we got back together like 17 years later, and or no, like 27 years later. I lose track.
It goes fast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that first album came out like what 34 years ago or something like that, but still around.
Let's
So doing the art thing and getting into that, do you have any specific favorites, or have you sold to anybody uber famous that would kind of blow our wigs off?
Rick Nielsen bought one of my paintings of him. And that was like the coolest.
Oh, that is cool. I'm a
That
huge
is
Shoot
very-
Trick fan, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this a bit.
All right.
Going all the way back to
Awful.
the 80s. The Awful Truth.
Yeah.
I just
late
started
80s.
working. Yeah, 89, I think this thing came out. It was only released. This is a press release. It's in some other language. I can't read it, but let's see if maybe I can tell you. But yeah, this thing never came out on vinyl in the United States, only in Europe, from what I understand, correct?
You know, I think I have one copy of that. I think I've got the vinyl of that, pretty sure, somewhere. But
I've got the vinyl.
it's
I got
probably
the
stuck in a
CD,
closet
Instead, I'm a big old geek, so.
somewhere. Yeah.
But can you tell us a little bit about that album? I mean, it was kind of the start of the Galactic Cowboys, I've always assumed, right?
Yeah, in a way, if you want to know the entire story, you could check out my latest podcast, which is Monty's Rockcast.
I usually watch it, but I skipped it because I wanted to wait.
Yeah, I go through the whole thing, but basically, yeah, we got together, I think it was around 88 or 89. We were only together a year, and we played just constantly. And we did some demos that were being shopped, and we had a bunch of interest in us. And then right at the peak of it all, we just broke up. Alan and I, the drummer, finally left, and we just immediately started another band, which was Galactic Cowboys, and the rest is history.
I just
How
put
did you find the other guys? Did you already know them, or were they from your area, or how did you get hooked up with them?
Yeah, there was. You mean in Galactic or Awful Truth?
In Galactic.
Okay, yeah. It was Alan and I, and then a couple of guys that used to come to the Awful Truth shows. They were coming to our shows and hanging out, and we became friends just from them coming and hanging out. And after it was over, I talked to them, and we ended up, seeing how it would go. And strangely enough, we had these 4 voices that just worked amazingly together. And so it just, one of those things, it was kind of magical.
So
Yeah.
you've been all the way through the record business and come out the other side. I love asking this question of people that have been, through record contracts, and then, a contract ends and maybe you move to another label. Kind of tell us how that went for Galactic, because you guys put out 2 albums on I can't
Geffen.
think the label.
Geffen.
Yeah,
Geffen, that's right. And so how does that happen for a band like Galactic? You get picked up, but at the end of the contract, what happens to bands? Did they just say we're done with you, or was the contract fulfilled? How does that go?
Yeah. Well, it's a story I've told a lot, but it's we got signed and Geffen was just really excited about it. And they were telling us, you guys are going to be huge. And then within the year that we were recording and waiting for it to come out, the guy that signed us also signed Nirvana. And so the whole grunge thing started like right as we were about to come out. And I think they just started moving over to like, well, let's just promote the grunge, let's promote Nirvana. And you'll hear it from, a lot of bands at that time that they went from being like the label darlings to nothing overnight, and so,
right.
Yeah, we put out 2 albums for Geffen and 2 of our best, and they just didn't really push the second one, which was Space in Your Face. And before you know it, we were on tour actually at the time. And I got a call from our manager and he said, yeah, you can go home. You've been dropped. And so we just went home, and then we were like, okay, what do we do now? So we started writing and, doing demos. And we were kind of at a place where we didn't know whether we were going to break up or, what was going to happen, whether it was just over. But Metal Blade came along and said, hey, let's do some albums. And so we signed with them and then had a nice lengthy career after that. So it worked out.
Yeah. And the first one for Metal Blade was Machine Fish. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Which is that's my favorite album from you guys. So
I love it too. That was the tour that I saw you guys on. You were supporting that record, and that was a great show, man. That was so much fun.
I do remember hearing If I Were a Killer, which I happen to have the single sitting here. I pulled it. I remember hearing If I Were a Killer getting played a lot on Z-Rock back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Z-Rock was really cool to us. They were playing several of our songs and pushing us, and it looked like it might be, ready to do something. And then, they just dropped, it all stopped basically.
Yeah.
We did a couple of videos, but it just, it's the way it goes in the biz.
In the biz. So
yeah.
Is there ever a chance of any Galactic Cowboys shows in the future, or is that all just kind of done and everybody's doing their own thing now?
We've talked about it, and I live in Denver now, or Colorado, and they're in Houston, so we don't get together much, but we have talked about it. We've also talked about maybe recording again and all that stuff. It's just kind of, I guess, on hold for the moment, but it's been on hold for years now. But I'm up for it, and I'm just kind of, seeing how things go, kind of waiting.
Right. So, yeah, man, I'd love to see Galactic Cowboys play again. That was a great concert memory, because that was the first time I saw you guys, and King's X was that same night, and so that was a monumental show in my rock history. Cool. Yeah, very, very cool.
Now, let me share a quick story with you.
Yeah,
King's
X question, so go ahead.
King's X and Galactic Cowboys have long been 2 of my favorite bands. I've only got to see King's X once, and it was the worst show I've ever seen in my life. And I know it was just an bad night for them, but it was disappointing because they were playing. They were opening up for Dio, and Hammerfall were the other band on the tour.
Right.
And I like Hammerfall and I love Dio, but I was there to see King's X because I had not got to see them and they were one of my favorite bands. So we go to watch the show. They get up there and they play the first song and they sounded great to me. I was jamming on. By the third song, Doug Pinnick was so pissed at the stage sound that he kicked over his mic and stopped singing, threw his bass down on the ground, walked off the stage, and left the rest of the band to finish the song without him. And then at the end of this, when they finish the song, what's the drummer's name? It's skipping my mind.
Jerry.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. Jerry he looks up at us and he shrugs his shoulders and he gets up and they walk off stage. And I was like, wow. 2.5 songs. I got 2.5 songs.
Really?
And so yeah, I was really disappointed that that happened. But I was like, oh, off night, I get it. Bad things happen. But yeah, it was a bummer.
That stuff happens.
Yeah, I mean, it happens to everybody. I mean, I remember seeing Aerosmith back, Steven Tyler passing out on stage after 2 songs and walking off the stage. So, I mean, it happens to everybody. But what would be one of your best and worst shows in any band?
Well, one of the most memorables was we played at Dynamo Festival. I think it was like 96 or something. And there was like, I don't know, 20,000 people there or something. And
that was people. Yeah.
Yeah, that was incredible. But, a lot of those small shows too are a blast, they're as much fun. But the worst show I can remember, we were on tour with Overkill, and that was just not a great match for us, a great tour for us. They were about thrash, and we had some of that in our music, but we also would sing and we had melodies and things like that. And their fans just, I knew before the show we were probably in trouble because like everybody in the whole building, I think it was in Cincinnati, and everybody in the building had like a Slayer shirt on or some kind of shirt with a demon on there or something. And so we get up there and we started playing, and almost immediately they just started throwing stuff at us and flipping us off. And I could have dealt with the flipping me off thing, but when they start throwing stuff and you're dodging
you're dodging
coins and bottles and all this, and I was just like, let's get out of here. So we only played a few songs that night, but that was the worst. Most nights it's been great. We toured in Europe with Anthrax, and like I can't even think of a bad show. Their fans were just really cool, and we had a blast on that tour. So you never know.
Right on. Yeah. I mean, there's always those Spinal Tap moments. I'm sure you've seen Spinal Tap. Anybody's been in a band has seen Spinal Tap.
Classic.
I mean, I played in bands for decades, and we played a show one time. It was supposed to be on an Indian reservation, and they said, "Oh man, those Native Americans, they love metal." And I was in a thrash band at the time, so we get over there and we were like, "Right on, where's the show at?" And we're driving. We get to the middle of the desert, and there's like nothing. I mean, tumbleweeds and cacti. So we're looking around. We finally get to this dilapidated, beat up church that was it was not a church anybody was using for anything. It was falling apart old church. Right. And we're like, well, this is the address. And we're like, all right. And we get there and we get around the corner, and they had 2 flatbed trailers set up for a stage. Like, okay, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then it was like we were like the last band to play, and we were going to be playing at night. And like, well, where's the lighting at for this thing? Oh, it'll be here by the time you guys play. All right, cool. So we were like, all right, right on. So all the bands are playing. It's starting to get dark out. All of a sudden, we were like, all right, we got to set up. Where's the lights at? Don't worry, they're coming. We're like, okay. So we get up on stage. We start setting up our stuff. All of a sudden, all these Native American dudes come with their pickup trucks, and they surround the stage, and they put the headlights on us.
Put their lights on.
That was the lights.
Like, there you go.
Wow. I was like, that should have been in Spinal Tap.
I've had a couple of funny ones. I've played the flatbed trailer. I've done that. But my favorite was we played down in Arlington one time, and we went to this venue. It was freezing cold outside, and all the doors were open. So we show up and we sound check and we set up, and there is not a soul on the property except the four of us and the sound guy. And I keep thinking, man, some people show up, some people show up. Nope. We kick off into our first song. The sound man walks out the back door, and we are playing, the four of us on stage in the venue, not a soul on the property but us.
Yeah.
We finished our set, and the next band came in, and they were like, so was that y'all sound check? And I'm like, nope.
No.
That was it.
Oh yeah, I think everyone has a story like that. We played this little bar in Sacramento, but it was on the outskirts of Sacramento, and we show up in a tour bus and get out and, you know, do the whole sound check and the whole bit. And one guy showed up, and his name was Vic. I remember him. And I literally got down off the stage and went over and sat down by him while we were playing a song. And it was that empty. But, you know, that stuff builds character. And so everybody needs to go through that. If you're in a band, you need to play at least one of those shows where no one shows up. Yeah. Unfortunately for us, it happened many times. But
I'm sure
we did it as well.
I'm sure you've had some funny things happen on stage as well. My favorite was we were playing Tulsa, and I got up on stage, and I noticed that the microphone cable went down, and it was taped to the floor, and it ran across the front of the stage, and it was taped to something else, and all these cables were run together. So as soon as we start going, I grab the mic out of the mic stand and I pull it, and I'm going to get in the metal stance, you know, and like a domino effect, it pulls every single cable off the floor from the gaff tape. The microphones on the stand start falling over. The overheads for the drums start falling into the cymbals. And I just sat down on the front of the stage and was like, we're just going to start this over. Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Awesome.
I'll never forget.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, right on. Hey, I mean, we started talking about this, but this is actually going to be. I mean, I think you said something on your podcast about it. At least someone told me you did. That this is going to be coming out on vinyl and CD again.
I didn't know that until like I'd finished the podcast. But I'll probably announce that on the next one that they're going to reissue that.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to it. I know. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I don't know all the details of it, but I've heard you guys have other tracks that weren't included on the album that you guys recorded. Is that true?
I think there was. Yeah. I really, you know, I've lost track of all that stuff. It was so long ago, but I think there was some tunes.
There was at least 3 tracks that I know of, but I don't know if they're going to be on the release or not. So I don't think they are going to be on the release, but regardless, I just know there was other tracks and I'd love to hear them, but I'm sure you probably don't have them either then, right? If you don't remember.
I might have some in my collection somewhere, but I was looking the other day and I think I've got some live stuff and all that. There's like absolutely no video that I know of us. But we did record some stuff. So
yeah, I know. I will send you a link because I know of at least 3 songs that we have that aren't going to be used. But I'll make sure I send them to you so you can have them too. I think they're demo tracks because I seen a demo cassette cover with it in the folder. So I don't even. I think it came from. I always forget his name. I even can't even say his last name. The guitar player,
David Von Olerking.
There you go.
Olerking.
I can't say it 1 time slow, no, that's 3 times fast. So, anyhow, so I'm really looking forward to that because well, obviously I've got 4 copies of it sitting right here. Big fan of this album, and this is actually kind of how I discovered the Galactic Cowboys, because I bought this album, and then I wanted more, and I'm like, well, that's their first album. Then I just found out about The Awful Truth and back and bought that. Not the same animal, but and there is a lot of similarities, but it's actually 2 different animals in my opinion. What do you think?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're totally different. Well, I say totally. I mean, we kind of took the heaviness of what we were doing in The Awful Truth and kind of took it a step further with Galactic. I was really wanting to push Awful Truth in a heavy direction, and the guitar player kind of wanted to go in more of a, I don't know what you call it, atmospheric or, kind of a alternative kind of thing. And so when I left, I thought I'm going to continue on with the heaviness and make it singable.
You guys, and you added a ton of groove, obviously, as well.
Yes.
That's one of the things I've always.
That was always my favorite about the Galactic Cowboys, was you could do something just beautiful and just wonderfully melodic, and then bam, heavy, just crazy fast, and then boom, just Beatles harmonies. It was just, I love it. Love it. So if you guys have any questions for Monty, throw them up in the comments, and if it's appropriate, we'll ask it, or we'll have him answer. But Scotty, one of our regular viewers, says, what are some of your biggest influences? I would think the Beatles would be in there.
Yeah, I loved the Beatles growing up. I was into a lot. I mean, when I grew up, my folks really wouldn't let me listen to a lot of rock and roll, and they were into gospel quartets and things like that. So maybe that's where I got my harmony.
Second chapter of Acts?
No, I'm talking before any of that. Oh yeah, I'm talking like, Oak Ridge Boys, and when they were a gospel group,
right?
And the Stamps Quartet and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I grew up early on, and then in later years I got into Ted Nugent, Rush, all that kind of stuff, getting heavier, and then mid to late 80s, I got into more of the thrash stuff, Metallica, Megadeth, things like that, and kind of just tried to blend them all together and make something kind of new.
Yeah.
So I have a bit of a similarity in that I also grew up with Christian parents who weren't too keen on the music that I wanted to hear.
Right.
And, one year for Christmas, I really wanted Ted Nugent Double Live Gonzo, which obviously has got a little bit of language on it. That's what I'll say.
Oh yeah.
And so my aunt bought me a Blondie album. I can't remember the name of the album, and Ted Nugent Double Live Gonzo for Christmas one year. We went to her house and they gave it to me on the way home. I was happy as could be with my albums. And when we get in the car and we're driving home, my mom said, I know what's on that album. So when we get home, you're giving it to me. You may not have it. So when I got home, I gave her the Blondie album and walked upstairs with my Ted Nugent album.
Good deal. Yeah, man. My folks, especially my dad, was just like anti rock and roll. He was actually a singer and all that, but he was, more into gospel music and things like that. And so he just thought, for a long time, like, rock and roll was just of the devil or something, and so he wouldn't allow me to play it in the house. And, I was in high school. So my friends would go, here's this 8-track of the Who, and so I would like smuggle it into the house, and listen to it while they weren't there, so, but at a certain point, he's just like, go ahead and do what you want, grow your hair to your butt if you want, and so I did. And, and so, yeah. And then the strange turnaround though, in the story is that, I end up getting signed, and I played Dad one of our demos for the first Galactic album. And he sits there and he listens to it. And when it finished with that 4-part harmony vocals on the end of this song called My School.
Mhm.
And he stops and goes, "Man, that is it. That is going to go. That's great." And he turned
Right on.
into like the biggest Galactic fan ever. Like
That's
he was
awesome.
he ended up doing our merchandise, like, mailing out the merchandise and going to our shows and just, talking to everyone, and
That's awesome.
my son's in this band, Galactic Cowboys, and they're really good, So
That's awesome.
he turned,
That's the way
he
a parent
turned-
should be, in my opinion.
he turned around.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
I have a question I was always wanted to ask you or somebody from the band. You guys on this EP, you got that Kiss cover on here, which from what I understand, was that recorded for a Kiss tribute, but it didn't make the tribute?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that? I always wondered about that.
Yeah. I'm not sure how that totally got connected. Our singer, Ben Huggins, his cousin is actually the drummer in Kiss, Eric, in Kiss.
Singer. Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Singer. And so maybe that's how they hooked us up. But Gene Simmons got a hold of Ben and he's like, "Oh, I'd like you to do a song," And so they paid for it. And we were like, awesome, So we went into a studio and knocked that song out and put our own spin on it and sent it to him. And Gene thought it was great, but he said, for some reason, our name wasn't big enough to go on the tribute album because they had Garth Brooks and
Anthrax. They had a mixture of everything. Yeah. Gin Blossoms, I believe, are on there.
Yeah. So we didn't make it on the album, and so we still had the song. So we took it and just put it on the EP.
So that was the Kiss My Ass tribute, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I never knew
you
that.
guys did a fantastic job on that song. I mean, that's another heavy 70s song. I love that track.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and
I mean, I remember I was a kid when that came out, and I remember playing that, picking a needle back up and putting it back on that song over and over again, man, because it was so heavy for the time.
Yeah, and that EP was awesome, man. There was tons of great stuff on that EP.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's another. The other cover was Junior's Farm.
Yeah, that was something that Brian Slagle from Metal Blade, he wanted to do, and we were like, why? And he's like, because EPs are cool. And so we're like, all right. So we did some cover tunes. We took some live cuts, and we had 1 or 2 new songs on there. And so, but that was the deal with that. He just wanted to put that out. So
that's cool. And you guys also covered a Petra song too, which I like it better than the original. So I thought that was fantastic. Was that another one of those paid gigs?
Yeah, it was. We never really listened to Petra that much, and so I didn't have any of their stuff. But the label that they were on wanted us to be on this tribute album, and they said, "Would you do a song?" And I said, "Sure, if you don't mind sending me the CDs." And so they did, and we picked out a song and did it our way. And a lot of people like that. Yeah.
I loved it. I think he did a great job. I begged the label to try and get that song onto the reissue that they did not too long ago in that box set as a bonus track, but unfortunately licensing wouldn't allow it. So
okay.
What song was it? Not of This World?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Which is a perfect song for them, which I think is one of the reasons it worked so well. So, yeah. I mean, unless you knew who Petra was, there's no way you would have known that was a cover song.
Right.
I knew who they were, and I'd even met a couple of them. John Schlitt at one point, and Bob Hartman, actually, before I or while I was in the Awful Truth, he actually gave me a call and said, "Hey, would you be interested in, trying out for Petra?" And at the time, though, I was in the Awful Truth, and I said, I can't really, because I'm kind of dedicated to this band. And so, but yeah, I knew who they were. I just didn't like own any of their music, but yeah, they're,
Great.
they're legendary.
Yeah.
Well, we're starting to run out of time, but let me ask you a couple more questions. We usually try and keep it an hour or under. So, but after Machine Fish came out, I always thought you guys kind of took a different direction with the horse that Bud bought. Not that it was completely different; it still sounded like you guys, but it was a little more poppy. Maybe is the word I'm looking for. Not commercial. I don't know. Just poppy, I think, is the word I was looking for. Do you agree, or do?
Yeah. I think I don't know. I think we were just trying some different things. We reached a point several times in that band where I think we got very discouraged because, everything we did just wasn't, catching on or wasn't selling. And of course, we were in the middle of, the whole grunge thing was still going. And so we were trying some different things. And, sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But, we were always wanting to experiment. So, that was probably one of those albums that we were doing a lot of that on.
I think it was successful. I enjoyed it, but it definitely it's not as
album.
it's not. I don't know if poppy is the right word. It's just not as heavy. Maybe is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would
Poppy
agree with
sounds
you on
like
that.
yeah. It's not like Taylor Swift. It's that's pop. It's just not quite as heavy, I think. But
Yeah,
you guys released what 2 more albums on that label, and they pretty much kept your sound.
Yeah. At the End of the Day and Let It Go. Those were the last couple on Metal Blade.
And this is one of my all-time favorite album covers. This thing rules.
Nice. Thank you.
Which I'm assuming it had to be at least slightly influenced by Maiden.
No, not at all.
No?
I've heard that before, but yeah, I took some pictures when I'd been to Times Square, like back in the 80s. And I just got the idea to take like all those billboards and make, use our album covers as billboards. And so I kind of redid that with the box set too, where I kind of used the same idea.
I was just gonna say that next because that's fantastic. That is fantastic artwork. So
Thanks.
yeah, I really like it. So great job on that.
Oh, thank you.
And then you guys kind of broke up for a while or split or whatever, and you got back together with the full original lineup and released this one, which you kind of returned to the sound of the first couple albums, in my opinion.
Yeah. In fact, a couple of those songs were songs that we had first written and recorded on the first album. So we kind of resurrected a couple of things, but yeah, that was fun. We, it kind of came out of nowhere. We had a label in Holland that offered us, a deal and to get back together and do another album, and we did it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on. Yeah, I'm looking at it on Discogs right now, trying to see who put it out. Music Theories. I'm not familiar with that label, but my homework is as soon as I exit the show, I'm going to go for a walk/run, and this is what I'm going to listen to because I'm not familiar with it. I know that it's out, but I have not heard it, so that's going to be my homework for as soon as we get off the show. Speaking of,
we got it.
My buddy Martin Bailey was at Metal Blade when you guys were doing those albums, and he promoted a bunch of those records when he was there. So
nice.
Yeah, Martin's a good dude. He was giving the thumbs up for the show today. So
great.
What's up, Martin?
Tell him hi. Yeah. Hey man. It actually came out on a label named Mascot. So,
Oh, okay.
I don't know what they're doing now. They didn't do much with the album,
No.
but I did the artwork for that, and the songs I think are really good, and
They are good. And I bought it twice because I bought it on vinyl too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I mean, we have guests on here all the time, musical guests on here, but I'm just a Galactic Cowboys geek, so excuse me if I seem like a little geeky fanboy, but yeah, I've been a fan since 1990, I think, is when that's when the first album came out, right? Yeah.
91. We had it done in 1990, but they made us wait until Guns N' Roses put out Use Your Illusion before we could put ours out. So
they were afraid
that was the plan. That was the plan.
I wonder if that would have made a difference if it would have come out a year earlier.
Yeah, it definitely would have made a difference. We just sat on it for like a year, and by the time they put it out, the grunge thing came along, and so I think if they'd have put it out a year earlier, it might have really done something, because I think it was really ahead of its time. I think you hear stuff and bands. I've listened to bands over the last 10, 15 years that I go, they're kind of doing what we were doing back in 90. And so I think it was ahead of its time, maybe, if that doesn't sound egotistical, but it's what it was. It was really different. People didn't know what to do with it, and unfortunately it kind of got pushed to the side, but we had fun making it.
Yeah, that sucks. You hate to hear that, because anytime that I listen to Galactic Cowboys, I just always thought talent. And I really hate when a band like that gets shelved, because there's so much to hear. So for those of you who are just tuning in or don't know, if you want heavy, melodic groove with killer vocal melodies, please check out Galactic Cowboys. You're only 34 years late to the party, but get on it. And Monty's done some really cool stuff. Check out The Awful Truth. He had a record or two with a project called Crunchy that was really cool and catchy. All Day Sucker. I was singing that a few days ago, thinking about you coming on the show. So awesome. Yeah, what other projects have you been in that I'm not thinking of right now? Is that pretty much it?
Well, yeah, that's, I mean, I've done like, I got to sing on a Kerry Livgren album, and, and work with him a little bit, and that was,
which album was that?
It was the last, the Cantata thing he just put out about a year or so ago.
Okay.
And,
cool.
Yeah, and he played a guitar solo on one of my Crunchy albums, and so stuff like that happens is always really cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as stuff I've done, I can't think of anything else right now.
You played on some solo albums too, right? Didn't you play on some of the King's X solo albums and stuff like that?
We did a part here and there. I think we sang like a background thing on one of their albums, and that was about it. We didn't actually play or anything, but those guys were good friends of ours. So every now and then they'd ask us to do something.
Puddlegum's Music Collection said, I think I saw Marty playing with Phil Keaggy.
Me? Doug Pennick played with him. I got to meet Phil Keaggy, and that was really cool, but I never played with him. But
another guy I'm a big fan of, especially his instrumental stuff.
I keep
that guy's amazing.
There's so much to talk about. I keep losing my questions.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I keep. I'll circle back to it. I know we're going to run out of time here in a few minutes. Oh, I know what I was going to ask. So you were talking about going out with Anthrax and doing stuff like that. Did you ever get to meet somebody because you were out on tour? Did you ever just get to run into one of your heroes and have a cool experience like that? I mean, you've obviously met a bunch of people, but Anybody that particularly freaked you out?
You know, I've met guys like Billy Sheehan and you know, I mean, we became friends with the Dream Theater guys. We toured with them, and they're really cool. And
That's cool.
you know, I met Dio briefly. A lot of the things we met though were just kind of, you know, you'd meet somebody and it'd be kind of disappointing, you know, because they weren't like always real nice or something, you know. And
Right.
so I had a lot of that where I just briefly met some rock star and it was just kind of like, well, I met him.
Yeah.
You know?
I got to spend an entire day once with Ted Nugent, which was fun. And he was a really, really nice guy. I was like genuine gentleman. But the first time I got to meet him, that was the third time I got to meet him. The first time I got to meet him, I was like starstruck because I'd been a fan since I was a little kid. You know what I mean? So meeting the guy for the first time, I was like, and the dude is like 20 foot tall, and I'm like 5 foot nothing. So it was really odd. So yeah, I got that whole. But he was just a super nice guy. Matter of fact, one time I had my son with me. My son was like 12. He had long blonde hair. He's a drummer, and he wanted to play in bands and the whole thing. And he shook Ted's hand, and Ted looked up at him and said, he goes, "You play music?" And he goes, "Yeah, I play drums." He goes, he reaches in his pocket and he grabs a guitar pick out and he goes, "I'm going to give you this guitar pick." And my son reaches for it and he didn't let it go. He goes, "But you need to promise me you're not going to put poison in your body, no drugs." And my son said, "Okay." And he took the guitar pick and put it in his pocket. So I'll never forget that because that was really, really cool that he took a little special interest in my 12-year-old son for no reason at all, you know?
That'd be one of those dreams. That'd be one of those dreams for me. Cause man, when I was like 18, 19 years old, I wanted to be Ted Nugent. I mean, it was just like, he was like the coolest rock star to me. And I was just like, oh, if I could just play like him and, you know, be that cool, you know? And so, yeah, that's awesome. I would love to meet him.
Yeah.
Super nice guy.
My experience was similar to Scott's. When I was in the Air Force, I did a security gig for a benefit softball game. I've told this on the show before, but I ended up being in the dugout, just keeping people out. It wasn't like it was some big security risk or anything, but I sat next to him for several hours and he just talked, had a genuine interest in what we were all about. Such a nice guy. And he signed every single thing that people passed into the dugout. And that was I had the same experience. Just so freaking nice and had time for everybody.
Yeah. And his wife is a sweetheart too. I got to meet his wife once, and his wife's just a sweetheart. So yeah, I can share story after story with Ted. I have a really good friend who passed away, but he was also friends with Ted Nugent and his family. I have it sitting up here on my wall. But after he passed away, I got a picture of myself, Ted, and my buddy together. And Ted signed it and said, "In the wind, he's still alive, Ted Nugent." And I thought that was pretty special. I mean, he doesn't know me from Adam, you know, so it was pretty nice that he did that.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Cool.
That's awesome.
So,
well, man, we're about to wrap it up.
Yes, sir.
Any parting shots before we head out, Scott?
I want to let everybody know that, The Awful Truth, I'm sure it'll be announced officially soon, but you'll hear it here. It's going to be re-released on CD and vinyl. And I'm pretty sure, hopefully I'm not letting a cat out of a bag that shouldn't be let out, but I'm pretty sure the rest of the Galactic Cowboys catalog is coming out on vinyl this year. So that's I'm hoping so, because I'm a vinyl fanatic. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right.
If you want to check out Galactic Cowboys, they're very easily Googleable, if that's a word. But also this box set came out recently. It's got the Metal Blade albums on it. But go to MontyColvinArt.com and check out Monty's paintings. Pick yourself up an original. Pick yourself up a print. Or I assume the originals are for sale.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, good. But yeah, hit up Monty for a commission work or hit him up for a print or whatever. And please, please, please go support Monty. He was cool enough to be on our show with us today.
He's also got magnets.
Yeah, magnets.
Yeah, refrigerator magnets.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
My favorite one got eaten by my dog. I was really upset. Anyhow.
So yeah,
They're
go check out
delicious.
Cowboys Week.
Apparently.
Go check out Awful Truth. Go check out MontyColvinArt.com. And there's not a such thing as a bad Galactic Cowboys record. If you like one of them, I think you're going to like them all. So please check that out. Monty, thank you, man. That was
Yes,
great.
thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate it too, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, if you ever get a good story you want to tell, the floor is yours. You can pop on anytime. Cheers.
Nice.
Man. Thank you.
We're on every Tuesday.
Yep.
All right. I'd love to come back.
All right, Scott, you know how we do it. Until next time, metal
will
prevail.
Then we have to look all evil.
Monty Colvin. It's not Chuck Billy. A couple of y'all said that. It's not. It's Monty. Here we go.
Chuck Billy.